Good afternoon. Welcome to the September meeting of the Pinal County Community College District Governing Board. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. We appreciate you being here. Mr. Miller, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first item is the adoption of the agenda, and I would entertain a motion to that effect.
so made.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is adopted. Mary Lou, do we have any members of the public who have asked to speak? Thank you. Our next item is an executive session. So I'm going to ask everyone to step out for a few minutes. We'll come and get you when we're completed. Dr. Elliott and Mary Lou, if you would stay with us. And we're back. Thank you for waiting for us. So as we return to regular session, the next item on our agenda is the consideration of the consent agenda. Any member of the board wish to remove any item from the consent agenda? And I will entertain a motion to accept it.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Thank you. Mary, any discussion? Well, we don't have discussion. No discussion. Mary, could we have a roll call, please?
Yes.
Yes. Chair.
Again.
Vote on the motion.
Voting on the motion.
Oh. I'm sorry, I was looking at something.
The motion was to accept the consent agenda.
Oh, yeah, and I seconded it.
Yes, but
Now we're voting.
Okay,
It's a roll call vote.
okay. Aye.
yes.
Point of order.
Yes, sir.
Don't we have to ask for Gladys as well, to just for the record? Say absent?
I don't know.
Okay. Yes. It would be on the record that she did not vote in a roll call vote.
The minutes will reflect her absence also, so.
Yes.
All right, next item. With regard to a request to engage with Dorito Partners Development for sale of property. Mr. Watka?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon, governing board members, Madam President, Secretary, and colleagues and guests this afternoon. This first item on the agenda is a possible sale of our Casa Grande Center property. Not only do we own the building that's there, but we also own, there are 4 other parcels adjacent to that property. And recently we were approached by Dorito Partners, Dorito Partners, Inc. of Scottsdale, who are, they specialize in various commercial development. And they have someone that is interested in the property in Casa Grande. And we did a little tour with them. And they're interested in purchasing the entire property then to create into some type of strip mall, some type of other investment potential that they're looking forward to. So at this point, I'm just asking that we take the first step in doing an appraisal. They will be paying for the appraisal, which I believe is about $6,000 of the property, and the appraisal will occur either later this week or early next week. After that, I would expect a letter of intent on their part that we would bring to the board to share and to discuss further steps of a potential sale.
How much property are we talking about?
It is, if you're familiar with the Casa Grande, it's the building and just a couple of lots that are behind it into the, it would be the west of it. There are a total of 5 property lots. Let's see if it lists the square footage. I don't think it does. I can find out the exact square footage.
Casa Grande's a pretty populated area, isn't it? Heavily populated down here.
It's growing like most other communities in the county. Those are vacant lots right now. There are no homes. The only thing that exists is our Casa Grande Center.
Okay, but now question I have is there infrastructure there? You've got sewer lines and electrical lines and
Yes.
phone capabilities and
Yes, all of that is in place because there used to be businesses on those lots years ago.
and it has paved parking lots.
There is some parking that's paved.
And buildings, structural,
No, they're all vacant lots outside of the CG, the Casa Grande Center building itself.
and what is the asking price, and how much property is that? You said 5 lots, but it don't say what acreage we're talking about.
I could find out exactly what the total, say, square footage is of the 5 parcels in question.
And they're all adjacent?
They're all adjacent to each other. The appraisal will include the entire package, and that's what we asked them for, not just to see the building itself, but that entire property that we own on that corner lot.
And how much does the appraiser want to do that job?
It's listed in here. I believe it's $8,000, 8 or 6, or maybe it's not listed. Maybe it was just quoted to me. It's in that range.
$6,000.
6,000, but it is going to be paid by the developer, not by the college.
Okay, so what is the projected benefit financially to the college for the sale of the property?
You know, honestly, I don't know yet. Obviously, the land prices have increased since the housing boom the last year or so. Once we receive the appraisal, we'll have comparables in that appraisal. I will have our attorney look at that to make sure that those appraisals are all reasonable in price. And then I would expect a letter of intent from Dorito to start negotiations, which then we'll bring to the board to discuss further.
Okay.
Any other, Evelyn?
Just a comment, that's a that is a plum spot right there at Treckle and Florence Boulevard in Casa Grande. And with the type of development, residential development that's going on in the region, that's certainly, hopefully, the appraisal comes in high. Because I think that lot is worth it.
Well, it would be for commercial development,
Yes.
not residential.
No, exactly, but
and-
they need the bodies to go and
Correct,
just
correct.
buy or sell or get services, so that's a prime spot, for sure.
Dan?
Yeah, so, Mr. Walcott, what I understand you're asking of the board is to engage with Dorito Partners, so that what we've been asking currently is kind of future steps. You're just asking for,
Today, we're just asking more of an awareness that they've approached us. They'd like to perform the appraisal and pay for it. So it is actually an actual item for your recommendation and approval that we do proceed with Dorito.
right, but that's no commitment to sell the property?
No,
or
absolutely
anything like
none.
that,
None
just to
whatsoever.
engage. Understand, thank you.
So you are looking for a vote from us?
Yes, sir.
All right.
What exactly do you want us to vote for?
That you're approving the appraisal of the property and the college working with Dorito Partners Incorporated of Scottsdale.
Could I have a motion to that effect?
May I ask, clarify?
Go ahead, Dan.
Are you asking for yourself or your team to engage with the Dorito Partners?
The college.
College, okay.
Yes, sir.
So then, Mr. Chair, if you allow me to make a motion to allow CAC to engage with Dorito Partners for the development of seller property at Casa Grande Center.
Thank you. Do I hear a
Second.
And second? Any further discussion? Mary Lou, a roll call, please?
Yes.
Yes.
Here?
Yes. Point of clarification, you voted here, was that an
Oh,
abstention?
no, that
or-
means aye or yes.
Aye. Okay. That was a positive, okay. Very good, thank you. Mr. Wadka, don't go away. Our next item, Wilson Electric Concrete Pad.
Yes, sir, thank you. This is for our Superstition Mountain campus. We are asking the board for approval, a vote that we construct a concrete pad. Wilson Electric is paying for the construction of this pad, and what's going to be used there is the growth of the electric program. What they're doing there is that additional lab space is actually needed. It is outdoor lab space that they're using, that they could experience conditions in terms of running electric lines and bending conduit and things of that nature. So they would like to construct this, Wilson Electric would like to construct this concrete pad that's adjacent to what they're doing for us already at SMC.
Questions? Mr. Walker?
Yes, they're going to pay for the construction of the concrete pad?
Yes, sir.
And to what benefit is that to them and us? How does that work out so to our benefit for them to build a pad and pay for it?
Well, there is an 18-hour credit hour commercial electrician installation program. So it generates students for classes. They have a 95% rate, a higher rate after they complete this program. So it's a win-win for the college in terms of receiving enrollment. Wilson receives employees. The county benefits as a whole.
And who does the pad belong to once they construct it?
It would be the college property.
It'll be, okay. As long as we fully understand that they don't own the pad that they're willing to pay to build on our property.
No, sir.
Any other questions? Dan?
Just some technical, you may not have the answer to this, but is it my understanding that they will put some conduit integrated into that concrete slab to run? It's just a plain 4 or 6 inch slab that they will construct on top of, run conduit?
Yes. It's like our Sunt construction concrete pad that we have at SPC. The students will build wood frame and steel frame structures that will sit on the concrete pad, and then that's when they'll run the wires and the conduit through that.
Okay, so will it be hooked up to a live source as part of the test?
Yes.
All right. Are there any permitting required for that? Sorry.
Oh, obviously.
Whatever permitting is required would have been run through the city as we have in the past.
Okay, but I guess my point is that we're not putting anything permanent that will carry electrical current as part of this slab. Everything will be put in as part of the class practice.
Correct,
Correct.
and could be disposed of if we so desire in the future.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Evelyn?
I think this is just another wonderful example of the college's partnership with yet another private sector company who's training the employees for which we need here in Pinal County. So given that, I would like to make a motion to authorize the installation of the concrete pad.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Mary Lou, roll call, please.
Masuga,
Yes?
Dan Miller,
Yes.
Jerry Walker,
Yes.
Dr. Wheeler,
Yes,
motion approved.
thank you. Next item, report from the college president, Dr. Elliott.
Thank you. Good afternoon, board, president, board members, faculty, staff, and guests. For my district update, I'd like to share that our enrollment is up about 16% from the fall of 2020. So our free college efforts obviously have paid off. We're at the enrollment numbers of fall 2019. So that is a really positive thing. This fall, I developed a President's Leadership Academy to grow and develop our internal talent. 7 individuals have been nominated for the Academy, and they've all been accepted. They're phenomenal individuals and nominations for them. The sessions will be held once a month with various guest speakers, including other Arizona Community College presidents, and I have all of them committed except for 2. So I'm going to continue working on that. And I also wanted to alert you to several key accreditation visits that we do have coming up this year, which include our dietetic program, early childhood education, and then we have additional location site visits for the Higher Learning Commission. So we're going to be really busy with accreditation this year. And this is the time of year where the board kind of would like to hear from me about our partnerships and strategic partnerships that we have. So the timing on the Wilson Electric concrete pad installation was good for this board meeting. So as we talked about, Wilson Electric has over 20 students enrolled this fall with plans for expanding the program, thus the concrete pad. We are also in the process of looking for additional industry partners to add a similar program like Wilson Electric in plumbing and HVAC for our SMC campus as well. And Wilson Electric has been really key in helping us identify other partners to work with. And interestingly enough, Wilson became a partner with us because of our partnership with Sunt. So that formula seems to be working. We continue to work with Lucid Motors for their onboarding and training of new hires. And I think Dustin and the academic team are in the process of developing a method to capture their training as part of our student footsie count as well. Being very creative, and I think that's going to work out well for us. We have worked with Nicola to develop some training curriculum and that we hope to eventually launch next fall. And I think later this month, Mary Kay and I and others have a meeting with Enel North America. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it. A clean energy group, and they're very interested in discussing some potential partnerships as well as scholarships. So those are some exciting developments. Obviously, our Sunt partnership continues to be strong and grow, and we look forward to growing more. We feel like we kind of lost a year in the ability to work with our partners and build partners because of the pandemic. So it is exciting to get back into that type of work. And I'm happy to entertain any questions you may have.
Questions for Dr. Elliott? Thank you. All right, next item, Business Affairs Report. Mr. Wodka?
Thank you, sir. Two items for your information, the monthly budget report and the awarded bids over $20,000. The monthly budget report is for the first month of the new fiscal year, being July of 2021. It shows the district's operating fund expenditures are at about 4.2%. It's in the ballpark compared to last year, which was about 4.9%. So it's about 0.7% difference July to July. And then the awarded bids over 20,000, there are 19 of them listed in your packet. Be happy to answer any questions in either the budget or the bids.
Questions for Mr. Wodka? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
And our monitoring report. Dr. Gilliland, Dr. Cardenas?
Good afternoon, Dr. Odiorn, Governing Board, Dr. Elliott, colleagues and guests. Thank you for having us today. So this is the second component of Outcome 1, which is student success. So today we're focusing on 3 different items. One is the number of degrees, certificates, and certificates awarded. One is our transfer rate, and then the third is regarding ABE and GED enrollment. So, and Dr. Gilliland will come up and speak to that in just a moment. So to begin with, the first of the graphs that we have to show you is regarding degree and certificates awarded. It's one of the ways that we ensure student completion. If you can go to the second one, or I'm not sure if I was supposed to, sorry. Okay. All right, so I feel as though from where we were last year to where we are this year, unfortunately with the pandemic, we did see a slight decline in the number of degrees and certificates awarded. We did graduation a little bit differently. It's the first time that we've done a December graduation. We've had things kind of split up differently because of the pandemic. So I anticipate that we'll see an increase as we move into next year with many students finishing. Although we did lose a tremendous amount of students during the COVID time period, we also kept some students, but they took fewer credits, which prolonged the graduation period. So although our goal is to reach the mark of 1,450 degrees and certificates, again, we were slightly below that going into 2020 and all of last year. We don't have the comparative data at this time, but we will very shortly from the Arizona Community Colleges to compare that as well. But I would anticipate that the numbers would be very similar to what we've seen in a decline for last year. The transfer rate is similar as well. We did see a decline last year in the number of students that transferred to universities. Again, we know that many students didn't choose to go on to the university. We were able to keep some of them. Some of them didn't complete, courses at all during that time period, which is why it was so important for us to, and why I thank the board and everyone who is a part of the free tuition for Pinal County. We know that the longer students are disengaged from the community college or the university setting in general, the more difficult it is for them to return. So being able to offer that, we did see a huge return in students where we can now help them to earn their degrees and certificates. A couple of the things that I wanted to really touch on, we've had many different individual programs or projects that have been brought forward. One in particular, I'd like to thank one of our academic advisors, Mark Ebert, who came forward and said, I'd love to really be able to work with Dustin to develop a group and find out how many of our students are close to graduation but haven't specifically applied yet, and what do they need to do. So they're doing proactive work to reach out to those students, to map them, to determine the final courses that they need to complete, and proactively assist them with that program. So it's something that is not just one advisor working on it, but it was an idea that he came up with to move forward. So we think that will really help our students as well to stay on track. We've been using much more data, again, thanks to the help of Dustin and our IR team to pull data and help us be able to proactively work with students. We have created a career and transfer office. Our Title V grant has a space now that's been identified where they are able to provide resources to students, but also work virtually with the majority of our students to be able to offer career guidance, university transfer guidance. They've been able to shift quickly to provide those services virtually so that students are able to still participate. And I think what we'll see in the coming years is a combination of both the on-campus, on each of our campuses, in our schools, and also virtual opportunities for students, which is the virtual component we didn't have as well developed before COVID. So it was a positive that we've seen from that. We've been able to reach more students, which is great. So we are still looking to have the graduation application and our degree audit program automated so that students are able to go into their student portal and have it functioning properly to be able to see the courses that they still need to take to finish, and have it kind of at their fingertips to be able to determine which classes to take. And those are things that are coming in the future. So I will turn it over now to Dr. Gill, and then we'll answer any questions that you have.
Good afternoon, members of the board, Dr. Elliott, colleagues and guests. So I have the third portion of this, which is the adult basic education and GED measures. And can we move forward? This is the student success, so I think it's one more. That's what? Through the, oh, okay. Yeah. Through, okay, oh, I see. Okay, I wasn't reading the small print. There we go. Thank you. Just a couple of comments here. We, again, as Dr. Cardenas pointed out, we were down with our regular graduation and transfer numbers. We're significantly down as a result, I'm quite sure, of the pandemic with our participation in our high school equivalency and adult basic education coursework and also completions. We're measuring primarily the coursework, the participation here. We do expect, in fact, this is picking up as we are hearing back from our people who work in that area. So we expect that to be much stronger in terms of the overall participation numbers this coming year. But I do expect that our 2021 numbers will be not unlike our 2019-2020 numbers. These are populations that oftentimes have pretty serious life challenges. They are trying to pull things together and then move forward in their lives by going back and doing the adult basic ed, doing their high school equivalencies, and populations that were particularly hit hard during the pandemic with unemployment and other kinds of challenges, children at home doing schoolwork and all sorts of things. So it's not surprising that the numbers would have dropped during that time. Though we did keep going, we moved to virtual, and we did the best we could in that regard. In our recent improvements in this area, we have created a scholarship fund for the GED testing, which I believe is going to help many of those students not only do their coursework. The coursework itself is really a very minimal cost. It's much less expensive than our regular tuition. This is a state-funded program, and so that is heavily subsidized through that program, through that grant. But the promise of that scholarship fund in order to pay for the GED test is a huge motivator for those students because that is fairly costly for them. And so the scholarship fund will help more of them not only stay on track and complete, but move forward and actually take that GED exam and be able to improve their life chances. The other thing that I wanted to mention, which is not actually in the list of the recent and planned improvements, but it's a fairly comprehensive program that the Adult Basic Ed Group is moving forward, and it is an integrated education training program, so that as well as providing the basic coursework in, the subject areas that are part of the high school equivalency, they're pairing participation in that program with some kind of short-term job-related certificate program. They piloted this with welding, and it was very successful, and they are looking at expanding that, particularly into training in Microsoft and some of the other certificate areas. So it's skilled trades or short-term. We have a couple of health career programs that are also good candidates for this, that are very short-term trainings that will get people out into the workforce, and they'll be able to apply their, of course, their GED credentials, but then have that specific training to help them move forward. Pairing this training also really works well pedagogically because they're able to use materials from an area of interest to support students in moving forward with their English and math and other sorts of skills. So, preparing and being able to read and work with materials that are of interest for a career oftentimes is a very powerful combination. We find that in our regular coursework, and applying it here is really a huge benefit. So they are looking to expand this program, and we hope that will, provide a lot of results for us. So that is all I have for today, and available for any questions along with Dr. Cardenas.
Thank you. Questions regarding the monitoring reports? Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
And next item of our agenda is a discussion item. It's been suggested that we might consider developing a performing arts center on the Superstition Mountain campus. This is for discussion only today. Mr. Walker, would you like to speak to that?
Certainly, the campus property is extensive and it's unkept to the best I can see. It looks like just plain desert land with haphazard shrubbery all over the place. And I would like to see something up there that would make people say, when they drive through Apache Junction, that this is the kind of place I'd like to live. And I believe that it would be good to do this because there was a movie made called If You Build It, They Will Come. Still a popular movie today. And if we do something there, it's going to improve not only the image of Apache Junction, but the Apache Junction's relationship and image of the community colleges. And if you drive through AJ now, you'll notice that on every major corner, there are massive construction projects going on where infrastructure is being laid in and concrete block walls to wall off communities are being constructed. And we don't even know what the population is going to be right now. We have no way of knowing, but they're building houses like they're going out of style. And so if we do something anticipating a large influx in the population, which I think if you just drive around there and take a look at it, you'll see what I'm talking about. And if we do something there, then it would be a credit to the community college. It would be a credit to the community.
Thank you. Anyone else got any sort of thoughts on this item? Gary, I know there is a performing arts center in AJ. Has there been any sort of a need study done to indicate that there is a need for a second one?
If there is one there, it's an insignificant facility.
Yeah, well, I looked at their schedule, and it seems to be pretty underutilized.
Yeah, it's underutilized because The population is not dense enough at this point, but I believe it's going to change drastically in the near future because of all the construction. Now, I know that we recently had Constitution Day there, and there's a little park there called Flatiron Park, where they have some, what do they call them, shelters set up with sailcloth above them. And that's not much of a community awareness facility. And I just want to encourage people to visit the campus to see that there is a campus there. A lot of people don't even know what is there. And that daycare center that's adjacent to the college is a distraction from the college. Two major buildings, neither one of them appear to be well kept. And we need to do something.
Are you aware of any funding sources for projects like this? Are there entities in AJ that would be supportive?
I've asked Mr. Wadka to look into the possibility of getting something like that. I'm not an expert at raising money or making funding available, but he is, and he's indicated his willingness to look into it.
All right. Anything else on this? Very good.
I do have, and I'm not sure who could answer this, but, you know, we have had in the last several years changes in performing arts. You know, I'm curious about the Penn Center. I know when we were building this campus, there was some consideration, ended up with an amphitheater here, but Maricopa does have performing arts, and they have some active artists in the area as well. I'm wondering if that's could be a comparison. And before you answer that, question to you is your idea to have performing arts center for the students or as an academic, or just to invite the community and have a place for them?
All of those things are applicable.
Okay.
For the students, and to invite the community to be aware of and participate with us, and for the growth of the campus so that we can offer more things and community awareness and facility to be utilized by the community in general.
Right, okay. So back to my original question about, you know, attendance interest throughout the county. Does the college have any information about that?
We do. We probably have some historical data that we can pull from the events we've held in the Pence pre-pandemic. Obviously,
Right.
we did not hold any events, and I'm looking to Jenny or Mary Kay. I don't know if they have how well those have been attended in the past that we've offered. But that's something rather than guessing, we'll get the information, the utilization and the attendance in 2019.
And I realize this is just a, you know, first step in anything going forward, but I'll ask you, Mr. Walker, I know you might say, I'm not sure, but just if it were, let's say, a 500-seat theater or something, any kind of idea of what that might cost the college to erect?
No, sir, and this is the first I'm hearing of this from Mr. Walker, you know, right after lunch today, so I haven't even digested this yet in terms of costs or figures or space, et cetera, so I won't even venture a guess on what a 500-seat new auditorium would cost these days, but
What did the auditorium in not Casa, but in Signal Peak cost?
oh gosh. That was 9 years ago, so I'm guessing 4 or 5 million, if my recollection is correct. But obviously the prices back then versus prices now are a little different.
I would probably say our workforce training center that we just built was 3.9 million, and we don't have seating, and we don't have, so Chris, it would probably be,
Oh, at least,
you know, at
3
least
times that
20 or
amount.
30 million. And I would just clarify is that Chris's role is not fundraising. You know, he's not responsible for going and finding money or donors. That's Maggie Dooley. And obviously, we've never really had a big donor that has ever given us except for the ACA with our Workforce Training Center. I don't know what our capacity would be to find a donor that could give us the 20 to 30 million that would be needed for a center like that. So our other option would be a bond, and I think the board is pretty much committed to not bonding anymore in the future. So the only option would be to find a donor.
Just one final question. Has there been any discussion at all about the need for something like this? You know, are we being deficient because there's somebody who desires or has to perform and we don't have the facilities for them? All right.
Well,
And the only concern that I have is how utilized is the facility at Signal Peak? How many seating, how much is the seating capacity there, and how utilized is that?
Isn't it 500?
No, yeah,
700, and
it's
again,
about 6.5, but
yeah, we'll get the data on how much it was utilized in 2019. I don't want to guess because I don't want to give you a wrong figure.
And something like this, if it's supposed to be a community facility, I think the city of Apache Junction would be a partner or would need to be one of the stakeholders if this is to be considered. And there might be, in the Chamber of Commerce, for instance. So, you know, I don't know that it's just CAC deciding to construct a performing arts facility, because it's potentially a community project. So just thought I'd throw that out, because it wouldn't just be us in isolation.
No, it wouldn't be us in isolation. It would certainly be something that could be used in the community, but not for free.
all right. My other thought is that the college has a strategic planning process coming up, and if we were to seriously consider anything like that, it needs to be aligned with our mission and supportive of our strategic plan. Because there are certainly, even if we had a donor, there are still opportunity costs in addition, and all of that needs to be considered. So I think our leadership team has heard what we've had to say, and as you move through your strategic planning process, be aware of those thoughts. All right, that brings us to the end of our agenda. Thank you all very much. We are adjourned.
Thank you.